All right. Once again, thank you. Thank you for joining. This is um, Rich Live for those that are online. Do me a favor, put a one in the chat room. You could, if you can hear me loud and clear. Happy Saturday evening, afternoon to you, and welcome to the legendary Soul Food Restaurant. I'll wait for a second to get the ones come in, but while I do that, I want to greet everybody. Music in the D from the DMV. Shout out to you, Sheila G. I'm not sure where you're listening from. Are you in Florida, Georgia? Bridget, Louisiana, and everybody else that's logged on. Those of you that I can't see, listening on Facebook, Instagram, and all those other places, welcome. Um, I just want to take some time out. I've been asked to put on a seminar, a questionnaire, or whatever you call it, to help those people that are aspiring business owners um, that may already be business owners that's trying to take their business to the next level. And that's what this conversation is about. Thanks for taking the time out to join us. I'm waiting for the ones to come in for those people online to make sure I'm not speaking to myself, that you guys can hear me. All right. Thanks for moderating. And thanks to the whole staff here at Legendary Soul Food Restaurant and everybody that attended that's here with me. So I like to do like a dialogue, question and answer, more intimate setting. The goal is to inspire those who have already started, uh, those who are experienced and know what they're doing. Um, Maybe I can say something, or we can go through something that can get you to the next level. Um, and this is the first time we're doing this from the Legendary Soul Food Restaurant. So if you're in the Georgia area, we're located in Conyers. You can find us on Google or any of the social media platforms. The radio broadcasting that we're doing right now, we're trying to put it in a live environment where you can experience what it's like to be in a live environment, but also you can network with people and mix and mingle, and maybe you can run across somebody that can help you along the way in whatever it is that you're trying to do or cultivate. So let me introduce myself. For those of you that are not aware of who I am, I go by the name Rich Live. I'm the CEO of the MSC Network, which is a online radio station. Some people call it a podcast, but we're actually broadcast radio station. So I know you guys see a lot of people streaming. We're not streaming, we're broadcasting. There's a big difference. We share the platform with major organizations such as CNN, CBS, and Fox. We're on the same platform. So we're very robust here. We're syndicated throughout the country. We're heard in every state in America and at least 7 countries outside of the U.S. So we have a large range of people that tune in. So we're trying to get those people to come physically, if you're located in this area, to come here and see what this experience is like. So I'm going to jump right into it. Thank you guys that are physically here. And what I want to do is go over some of the things. There's an ebook if you're online listening, or if you're in here. There's an ebook. It's a free ebook. Go to themsenetwork.com, and you can download the ebook. And it's a whole lot of information. It's a short read. It's about 10 chapters, 25 pages, but there's a workbook that I embedded at the bottom. And if you can answer those questions in that workbook, which I'm going to be going through, it'll pretty much tell you where you are and where you need to be in your business. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. 25-year retired from Miami-Dade Police Department as a detective. But while I was on that journey, I had this itch to be a producer, to be an entrepreneur and things of that nature. So what I did is I started venturing out while I was working as a side hustle, I started a production company, and then when I retired, it kind of blew up and went viral. I become a traveling engineer across the country. I've been in almost every state in the U.S. traveling as an engineer. By trade, I'm a certified forensics audio video engineer. So when I retired from doing that, I started what I was doing on the road. This is my 17th year in the production business. And when COVID hit, I had to pivot. So we're going to speak about that a little bit. I could no longer go out and do production work, concerts, events, conferences. I could not do those things. So I had to find a way to pivot. The pivoting for me was the radio station. I started broadcasting with about 15, 20 people. Since then, I have had over 250,000 listeners. Out with listeners in Florida and Georgia, and now I'm all across the United States. So I'm giving you that story so that you'll know that sometimes you just got to get started. You just got to get out there and get it going, and see what it's all about. Most people are suffering and silence. I haven't met many people that don't aspire to be entrepreneurs or don't have a niche or a talent or something that they want to do. But the biggest thing is fear. For those who are already entrepreneurs, you know, once you realize that fear is just a thing and you have to give it life, once you realize that, then you can move forward. I've been called on to build businesses. And this business that I'm in right now, I've been asked to kind of help get it to the next level. I'm working on a project in Detroit, Michigan as well. So the reason why I'm putting this out there, so you'll know that the information that I'm giving you is coming from a person that's not just telling you about business or how to start your business, but I'm actually in the business. I'm actually doing it, and I go from place to place helping people cultivate and get to the next level. So let me dive into one of the biggest things that I believe that people face as far as challenges, which is fear and fear of taking risk. And most of us are afraid of doing or channeling the energy and the efforts into what it is that we want to do. I'll give you an example. You know, I fly a lot, and when I'm flying around the country, I notice that most people do not ask the pilot any questions. Most people do not ask to see the pilot. You just go and you sit down on the plane, and you trust that it's going to make it to its destination, right? If you have to have surgery or a procedure, most people do not speak to the doctors or interview or question their credentials. But when it comes time for us to do what it is that we have inside of us, we question ourselves, and that's fear. That's fear. Everything starts from someplace and someone. So the cool thing about entrepreneurship is that somebody's probably already done what you have done or is already doing, so you do not have to recreate the wheel. There's already a template, and if you understand that you just got to get started, and once you get rid of the fear is always going to be there. If there's not a fear or any level of anxiety of failing, then you might not be doing the right thing because it's a package deal, right? So just get in the habit of understanding risk. The risk that you need to take or you should take be calculated, but you don't move the needle if you don't take any risk. There's challenges and a whole lot of things that are embedded in being an entrepreneur, but risk is one of the things, I guarantee you, it's going to be one of the things that you see more than anything else. In order to get to the next level, there's going to be some level of risk. And, you know, for those of you that listen to motivational speaking and things of that nature, I am one. I do it a lot in several different states. I try to motivate business owners and other corporations. Tell you the happiness, the good points, jump, let your parachute open. Those are good things, but they don't tell you about the downside. Most of the things that you're going to experience in business is going to be the not feel so good stuff, right? So the way I look at it is, when I stepped out to do my own thing, I learned to treat myself the way my employer treated me for the 25 years I was in law enforcement. So if I had to be to work at a certain time, I governed myself that same way when I stepped out to work for myself. So when it was lunch, I did what I was supposed to do on my lunch break. I didn't take more than an hour. I treated myself the same way that the job I worked for treated me. And that helped me develop a level of discipline for myself. And then I also understand that if they put money aside for me in the pension system, or for my retirement, my 401, my health care, my fringe, all of that, I put those things aside as well in my charging. I keep that in mind, that I'm no longer having someone do that for me, so I have to embed that into my system so that I understand every time that I charge someone that I have a family, that I want a 401, I want a pension, I want a savings, and then I have to equate and compute all of those things that are embedded the same way that a regular 9-to-5 do it. So if you make $20 an hour, they're probably being paid $45 an hour for you in your labor. So I took that same format and made it applicable to my life, and it has rendered me a lot of success. But not only that, the discipline that most people require. And most, in my opinion, from my experience, from working in different organizations, most businesses suffer from lack of discipline. So they don't take the right kind of risk, and then there's a lack of discipline. So that leads me to this next chapter. So if you're following along in the ebook, mastering your time management, which is kind of what I jumped into a little bit, which is when I started working for myself, I put my management schedule. What time did I have to work? I worked it. I showed up, and if I didn't feel well, what would I do if I didn't feel well working for a regular corporate job? How would I treat that situation? Do I have an allotment? Do I have money? See, because when you're an entrepreneur, you don't go to work. You know, it's on you. And that leads to this next point. Some of the folks that I coach, I realize that they don't know the difference between entrepreneurship and self-employment. I'll explain the difference, and it's very important. Neither is bad, but you just need to understand where you are. If you are a person that's required to be at a specific location and you're exchanging time for money, you are self-employed. That means that you have to be present. You have to be actively engaged or involved. You are self-employed. If you're not there, or you're asleep and you're making revenue and someone's doing it on your behalf, then that's entrepreneurship to me, because it's creating passive income that you don't have to physically be tied down to do that. So, you know, if you're gonna call yourself a boss, some of us are working bosses and some of us are true bosses. So you have to understand the difference so you'll know how to move. They're both great things, but understand the difference. If you're using your time, effort for money, then you're self-employed. So you need to make sure that you're charging and your prices are conducive to what it is that your needs are, your repairs. If you get sick and you cannot go, charge enough to accommodate your absence if you have to be out for a day or two. Are you yourself? These are things that you just need to be very aware of, but you got to master your time. You know, a lot of people ask me, okay, well, I actually have 3 businesses. How do you do it? Where do you find the time? You stay busy. You're always doing this. Well, I manage my time, and I'm very intentional with my time. I don't allow people to waste it, and I do not seek bad counseling. What does that mean? There's people that tells me how to broadcast, what I should do, how I should market, and I'll ask the question, how many do you have? You know, how many people you know that do what I do? So be careful on who's counseling you or giving you advice on what to do. A lot of those folks don't even do half of what you're trying to do, and what you do take courage. So I'm gonna move on to the next one, but that kind of made me think about something that I always try to tell people, which leads into my next thing, which is dealing with failure. Failure is a part of it. If you did not fail, then there's no contrast. So you do not know what success is like if you really don't have the contrast of what failing is like. One of the pitfalls for me that I made when I started my entrepreneurship journey is I started employing friends and family. And that's one of the worst things that I did in the beginning, because as you evolve into a business person or an entrepreneur, as you begin to take a stakehold and invest in yourself, not everyone's going to be vested the same way that you're investing in your business and your desires. And a lot of times we treat our family and our friends, we treat them like our customers. These folks are not your customers. They're there to be your family. Stop trying to turn them into your CEOs, your COOs. They do not know this. This is not their passion. This is not their dream. They're not your audience. And a lot of times we seek counsel from our family. And typically that's when the suppression starts, because they're afraid for you to fail. And that fear is out of love, it's out of respect, but you have to be radical if you're going to be successful. If you're not willing to be radical or have some level of obsession, then it may be challenging for you to meet the mark. It may be challenging to meet the mark. So my encouragement to you is to realize that family is not always your primary audience. Doesn't mean that you cannot have a successful business with family members. Just make sure that the continuity is there, make sure the relationship is there, make sure that the passion matches your passion. But one of the mistakes that I made is I just started bringing my homeboys and all of my friends with me, saying, let's build this business, and I would be the only one showing up. And because my passion was totally different than theirs. I was more invested in what I wanted to do. So I had to start aligning myself with people that do what I do, that know what I do, that speak the language. And, some people take low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is good. What do I call low-hanging fruit? It's the people that are tangible, that you can reach out to and have help you, right? But you have to understand their position in your establishment, because they may not be able to level up, and you may find yourself picking them up for work, doing things outside of the scope of what a boss should do for his employees. So just keep in mind that family's not always your audience, and as you evolve and become bigger and bigger at being a boss, they don't see you evolving. And if you don't believe it's true, I had an experience where I told my family that I was going to travel the world and be a consultant on technology. My background is in forensic and technology. And it was funny to them because I had never really left the country on business. But being invited to all these different countries, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, Aruba, as a keynote speaker, and my family was blown away. They had never met that version of myself that I had become, and they had never got a chance to meet this guy. So that's why I say you have to be careful who you're pitching ideas to, because you evolve, and a lot of times they don't know that version of you that exists. When I got into those countries, I was not allowed to touch my bags. I was not allowed. I had security escorts everywhere I went. They knew my value. So my question to you is do you really know your value? Because you're very valuable. But a lot of times we measure that based on our immediate surroundings. You know, you're very powerful, but sometimes you're suppressed by those people that know you by your first name or your nickname, and they don't see who you really are. So you just got to be very, very intentional on understanding your value. The dreams and visions that are put inside of you, when you begin to share them, they begin to die, because not everyone's of value to receive that dream and the vision the way that you received it. So your dreams are radical, but we normalize them, right? And when we start to normalize them, then we start to behave like normal people. You have to be extremely intentional on being an entrepreneur. And one of the things where, dealing with failure, it's one of the things that it's the place where most people stop. You that when you start your business and you get into entrepreneurship, that is going to be fun. And what we typically do is build businesses on our talents, right? I would tell you that discipline, obsession, and there's so many other things that will beat talent. Talent is one of the last things that come into play if you're going to be an entrepreneur. But most people start their business based on their talent, and they stay stuck in the talent. But then the administration part of it, all of the back stuff going on, we don't get that done because we're moving forward with talent, and we're trying to figure out how to get to the next level. And why we don't get to the next level, it's because we're moving on talent. Discipline will beat talent any day. You just got to keep showing up. The guy or the woman that constantly keeps the same regiment and stay true to what they believe in, study it, they will beat a talented person any day. So do not get in the habit of just sticking on talent. Discipline, if your discipline don't match your talent, then you may not have a business, you may have a hobby. So just keep that in mind. And if you go through the questionnaire, the workbook, you'll see exactly how I break it down. So don't be afraid. Take calculated risks and understand you will make mistakes. All the mistakes that I made, this is probably my 10th business, right? So 8 of them failed. So, but embrace failure, because it's not, we've been taught that failure is a negative thing. It's the best education that I've ever received, is the mistakes that I've made. So it puts me in places where I'm able to speak to people about taking risks. I can do this because I failed. So I can help minimize the experience of failure by sharing with you. Like, I have a doctorate in failing in businesses. So I can tell you what not to do and be very successful at it. Actually, I become a subject matter expert at learning what not to do. So I help people on what to do as I'm coaching people along. Moving to the next one, stress and burnout, right? So we have this talent. We try to take it into the business aspect, C Corp, and we're happy about this talent, and we open our doors, and because we believe the most important thing is going to be the logo, the look, the furniture in the place, the paint on the wall. We get so caught up into building the talent part and the passion part that we forget to do the actual work. We forget that we need to market. There are businesses that I've consulted for that they would put $100,000 to $200,000 in the beautification of the establishment, and then I would say, well, how much do you have for marketing? They would have $500 and complain about the $500. So they do not tend to invest on marketing. Well, I would advise anyone to pour everything into marketing first. Marketing, if people don't know you exist, I don't care how beautiful your establishment is, I don't care how great your talent is. If they don't get to it, you're just spinning your wheels. So I always say, if you're going to do something, do the hard things first. The talent is always going to be there. The fun stuff is really, really going to be good once you do the hard things first. And when I say hard, the things that are not so fun, things that are not so sexy, like marketing, networking, going out to establishment, telling people who you are, what you represent. Those are the things that you should do first. When you build it, people think that when you build it, they will come. That is a myth that I have not seen happen in my life. I've built it, and no one shows up because no one knows they don't know I built it. You got to market and make sure that your discipline matches your talent. Make sure that you're radical, because just being normal is too much competition out there for you not to be extraordinary. Social media has made it difficult for organizations to succeed. It has put photographers out of business, videographers, because cell phones and these filters are making things very difficult. So you have to be radical and be memorable and offer something that makes you stand out than anybody else. That the stress will come and the burnout is part of the journey, right? So that is the biggest challenge. If someone built a business on collecting everyone's ideas, and those people that froze at stress and burnout, you can really be a billionaire, because most people tap out at the burnout. Most people tap out when the stress hit. So I want to encourage you guys that are online, that are listening, when you hit that point, this is what's going to separate the maturity, the real business people, from the people that are playing business. Because when the stress hits, the true value, like Les Brown said, adversity introduces a man or woman to themselves. How you respond in adversity determines how you respond in your business and in your life. If you fold when adversity hits, or if you fold when the stress hits, then this is not for you. If you can plow through that wall, and if you can hold on and believe in yourself, those people that will inspire you to give up, to quit, because that information will always be in your face. An opportunity to give up on yourself is always there. It's going to always be there before. I have people all the time that I'm coaching telling me, can't work because of this, it can't work because of these different things. I do not entertain that. And that goes back to my time management. That's it, because I have no room for negativity. So be careful who you surround yourself around. So we spoke about handling stress. Stress will come, but it will also go. It will also go. And when you hit a point in your business or in your journey for your business, it's okay to feel bad when things are not working well. I throw short pity parties. I do. I plan them. Like, if things don't work out, I don't get a big turnout, I have a very short pity party. And then it ends and I get out of it. Some people are still in the pity party from years ago. And you have to be intentional about being resilient in life. Stress takes more people out because we let it take over us. And it's nothing, when it's nothing you can do, then you just do what you can do. And there's nothing you can change. But understand that perspective, that stress is a silent killer for a business, for a human being. So learn how to manage that. And there are ways to do it. Seeking mentorship and support. Make sure that you're not going to your friend, your son, your daughter, your wife, saying, and this is what you want to do, and they have no idea how to cultivate what it is that you're trying to do. They have no idea how to support you in what you that, right? But then in business, as an entrepreneur, mentorship is just that. Your mentor should be someone that does the work, that understands what the pitfalls are, that can help you get online and be organized in the steps that you need to take to be successful. That's one of the things I did not do early on is I did not get a mentor. I did not have a mentor. I did not invest in coaching. I did not invest in education for my craft. I just did not because I felt like I knew what I needed to know. And I was moving in my emotions, and I was moving with my talent and my emotions, and I didn't do very well. And speaking of emotions, some people disagree with this, but I say business don't have feelings. People do. And this is where we get the hang-ups. This is where we start to fail, is when we make decisions emotionally and we don't make business decisions. And I see a lot of business fail because they move emotionally. A business don't have feelings. You give it feelings. You can be apathetic as a business owner. You can be empathetic as a business owner. But you still have to be responsible. You still have to pay your bills. You still have to keep the lights on. You still have to feed your family. You still have to do the work. So emotionally, if this question, the decision that you're making, is it an emotional one or is it a business decision? And that would tell you exactly where you need to be. I always ask myself that question, am I being emotional or am I making a business decision? And most of the time, I'm being emotional. So I have to reset because I'm very apathetic. So for me, it used to be hard to charge people because I see the looks on their face. You ever have somebody to come to you and say, well, I want this done. I need this done, man, but I ain't, hey, don't kill me. I don't have a whole lot. And that's them appealing to your emotion. So what most people do is go right there. Business don't have emotion. Right? What you can do, which I do, is I embed a system, 15%. I already have a box of where I put people. If I want to be apathetic, I do not make deals emotionally. I have a box. Oh, I like you. Okay, I'm going to give you 20% off. But that's already a box. It's already templated in my head. I'm not going to do it based on how you're feeling because because I'm so passionate, I'll do it for free. So I have to not be emotional in my decision making. That's why you have to template yourself and know what you offer, know your value, and don't let anyone devalue you. And this is what coaching teaches you, which is how to have yourself in the infrastructure to be successful. And if you follow this template with discipline, I guarantee you'll do a lot better when you're pursuing your business and whatever it is that you want to do. Resilience. This is a big thing for me, and mental toughness. Why am I talking about? See, I've been to so many places where people motivate people, and they tell you, "Go, you have it in you." They just keep putting all that good positive energy into you, and good motivation is great, but it's dead if you don't move. It's null and void if the motivation doesn't take root, if you don't move, if you don't deploy, if you don't try something different, if you don't be radical while you're moving. You got to be resilient. So mental toughness is required in any business. Most businesses live in the red. Most businesses fight to get to the black, and that's just the way it is. It's just being a profitable business, not a fun business, because I've done businesses where I've made $50,000, $60,000. I didn't make it. They paid me $50,000, $60,000. But my profit was probably $300 after I paid all these people. And this is not what people are teaching. So I'm sitting here, my attorney's in the room, my tax accountant is sitting right here. I can tell you, I've made tons of money. And then people look at the checks that have been written, the amount of movement that's going on, and saying, man, you made it. You made it. No. I had to pay all these people, pay for all these, and did this job for me. This is what's left. So now I have to explain to Uncle Sam that, this $300,000-$400,000 of profit wasn't profit. It wasn't profit. It was paid out. So this is why you have to understand the mental toughness, because if you get to that point, that's a good problem to have, and you can maneuver through it, but you have to have the right people around you. You have to have around you, and you have to have the right mental toughness to understand that just because someone wrote a check for you doesn't mean it's for you. It has responsibilities attached to it. The question is for you, what's for you. So get a coach. That's the important thing about that. And make sure that you develop some level of mental toughness. I'm going to pause for a second and see what's going on in the chat room. All right, I see some comments here. How you doing, Rashawn? That's a good point that you made. Linda, shout out to you listening. Hey, put your questions in the chat room if you have any questions. And you guys here, if you want to ask me any questions, please, you can jump in. I know you came in. No, you're good. No, you're fine. You want to introduce yourself? Do you have a business? You're a business owner? You tell me a little. You work from home? Okay. 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 Got it. Oh. Nice. Okay. All right. Well, good luck with that. So if you have any questions, just interrupt me or jump in. So just to reset of what I was saying, we're diving into the mindset of entrepreneurship, what that looks like, and how to move forward, but how to understand the pitfalls, where they come from, and that they do exist. We build businesses in our mind based on our talents, and we try to build it based on our talents, but we don't always embed the discipline. We don't always get the right kind of coaching or get the right kind of substantial things to help sustain ourselves. And we have to understand the difference between a hobby and a business. And typically our talents, if we don't do well with our talents, calling ourselves business people, then it's a hobby. Go ahead.
There is definitely a difference, maybe even like a black and white thing, when it comes from you, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and then having that shift, or that, like you're saying, that transferring the mindset to an entrepreneur or a CEO.
Right.
So can you give us a couple of examples of what that really looks like from the habits that we kind of create as just someone who's starting a side hustle versus becoming and really changing that mindset to go forward into true CEO mode? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, can you give us a couple of examples so that we can have a kind of a picture of things that we do every day, and we need to get rid of those habits,
right,
to be able to go into true entrepreneurship, true CEO.
Okay, so if you guys didn't hear that question, I got the mic on here. So the question was, how do you go from everyday functionality as someone that's doing work or whatever it is, that using their talents or in exchange for money talent, things of that nature, and shifting into a true CEO? Well, one is recognizing that you're in hobby mode, in my opinion, when you're exchanging your talents for money and there's not an infrastructure. You don't have an LLC, you're not incorporated, you don't have the foundation, you don't have bookkeeping, right? So once you realize that people are starting to value that, that's when you sit down and you incorporate. And that's when you shift, meaning that you just don't do the work.
I got a question.
Okay.
When you say they start to value that thing that you do, what causes them to start to value that?
So the question is, what causes people to value that thing that you do? Is most people know more about yourself. So they'll come to you for that niche, that thing that you do, but it'll be in the form of a favor, right? And then if it's really good, they'll pay you for it as a favor. But the truth of the matter is, it is a job. They won't pay you what it's worth, because to hurt them more, if I tell you what your true value is, then I'm not going to want to pay that price.
I'll give you an example that I'm going to do right now, okay? This guy, still a customer of mine for a number of years, and I've tried to get rid of him for a number of years, okay? Having been a customer for a number of years, I know his family and my people, sort of like his work, but it's what I do for a living, so it's like, okay, you need to pay. I have to argue with him every year about a price that we've already agreed upon.
Right.
Okay. So after trying to tell him, you can just find somebody else, because you're getting to a point where I can't afford to work with you, because money to plenty of money. But the problem is, you wanted to stay, you wanted to keep paying me at a lower rate.
Right.
If I wasn't, intelligent enough to know that, his information had become more complicated. And yeah, it was a challenge, so there was a benefit for me, okay? But in the long run, it was not a benefit, because I told myself, look, I could be playing tennis. I don't need to be,
Right.
you trying to pay me, I can go out and play tennis,
Right.
He said, well, no, Albertine. Yeah, we've been friends, and we can do this, and blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, came down to it. Instead of telling him to find somebody else, I decided, okay, I'm going to try to get a little smarter. I will, you need to speak with a wealth advisor. Somebody that can do more for you in estate planning and blah, blah, blah. And maybe they'll help you with,
Right.
He said, really? I said, yes. Okay. But the problem is, he called me back last week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he said, well, Albertine, I know what you do, but I can do, I do this part, and then you just. He said, well, okay, so we can work, right? I said, if you pay me the same price, and you do the other half of the work, then fine.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And I had to reach that point that, and I reached the point that I knew I had to start getting rid of customers that were not willing to pay what they should have been paying.
Right.
Me, that they were not willing to pay the price, okay?
Right.
Simply because they've known me, and I've been with them through a hard times, and I would reduce prices,
But see,
system sometimes, but I'd never do that again. I would never reduce the price.
let me
Serve, without somebody's hardship. I'm not going to do that.
right. So
Then I had to learn that.
that is a very good, for those that are listening, it's basically kind of a spin off her question is, how do you shift from doing something to actually being valued for what you do? And sometimes you have to do a hard reset. Not every client is going to be a good client for you, because as I said earlier, is that when you evolve and good at what you do, and then you realize the value of what you do, those people sometimes don't evolve with you. They see you as the mom and pop level. So you have to find a way to do a hard reset. And one thing that I tell people to get in the habit of doing is not negotiating when you're not ready. Because now you're emotionally having a conversation and a dialogue about your value, which you are emotionally attached to, and that's not going to go well, because now you're going to feel disrespected. But it's not that he's disrespecting you, he's thinking about value too. So that's why I would recommend you do a hard reset and develop like I was saying earlier, like I do not negotiate prices, I negotiate percentages. Because I know if I take 10% off, then this is what it is. Or if I make it 15%, this is what it is. But this is why you have to have a system in place. My name is so-and-so. I help people do A, B, C, D, E. This package A, B, C, D, E. You choose. I know we're friends and I know you've known me for a while, but this is what I am now. This is what I do. And this is who I am. Choose A, B, or C. And then based on what they choose, you are now in the driver's seat on what percentage you take off from whatever package. And that puts you in a non-negotiable standpoint. But right now, it just seems like it's, from what I'm hearing, it's just really broad. And there's a whole lot of history. And there's a whole lot of value and underappreciation in your value that's happening. And that you're taking personal. That's the emotional side, I say. Well, it could be, but at the end of the day, that's why I say businesses don't have feelings or emotions. We embed them into it. So when you take the emotions out, I don't care about racism. I don't. My business don't have a color or race. Why? Because it has a system. Do you want this business or not? As a business owner, I make the final decision whether or not business with you. But I don't make these decisions based on sex, race, whatever your belief system is. My business don't have feelings. It don't have political affiliation. It's a business. I do not put those things into it. So I've been told as an African American guy that I was unwelcome in some places. Money is green. At the end of the day, we're going to do this job, and this is what we're going to do. If I become emotional, I know what's out there in the world. There is bias, there's racism, there's discrimination, there's people that's going to take advantage of you, price gouge. I mean, all that is out there, and you can't fold to that. And that's why when you have an embedded system in place, you push your system forward and let your system lead. And that way you take yourself out emotionally. Hopefully I help you understand. I know it's an ongoing progress, but I would recommend you do a hard reset and understand your value. Do a hard reset. Yes.
So, thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate it greatly. This isn't a question, but a statement. As it applies to managing your business, you're in control of what you do, what you don't do,
Yes.
and what you allow people to manipulate you to do.
Yes.
So if you're prepared, as you're talking about the system, you know what type of margin you can allow to still be profitable.
Yes.
So therefore, when you go into a conversation, you know, I need to be at this margin, or this is not profitable for me, then it becomes hobby work.
Yes.
So if you know what that is,
Bingo.
on a floor covering store, everybody wants to negotiate, or if not negotiate, they want a discount. So I build in an 8% markup on every price I give. And then when they say, well, do you do a senior citizen discount? Yes, I do. Do you do a military discount? Yes, I do. Do you do a discount for people that live in our subdivision? Yes, I do. That discount for all or any of those categories
Yes.
is 8%. So therefore, when they ask me for a discount for whatever the reason is,
Right.
I say I can't combine categories of discount. So if you qualify that you're a veteran and you my subdivision, I offer a discount for both of those categories.
Right.
But you can only use it once.
There you go.
So therefore, that 8% keeps me profitable when they ask for it. Now, most people will appreciate the discount, but the next thing is you have to know how to say no
Yes.
to a customer, because then they respect you.
Yes.
They don't walk away from doing business with you when you say no. It becomes a respect element because they know that you're serious about
Right.
the struggle. Has been a positive for me when I said, well, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, but
Right.
I'm willing to do this.
Right. So, and that, thank you for expanding on that. So that he and I, he's pretty much the same lane. He has a system and he don't even have to think about it. He's going to say yes, and then he's going to say no. But the negotiation is already part of his system. Like, he don't have to do that from his heart or from his feelings. It's so in his absence, I can still follow his system. So I can tell by listening to him that he's not self-employed, he's an entrepreneur. Probably open right now without him there. So that's so that's pretty much how, for me, I think the goal should to become an entrepreneur, which is taking what you have, replicating it, creating standard operating procedures so that others can follow suit with his 8% or whatever your price is. You don't have to always be the front person to do the actual job. And you don't have to be the one doing the invoices. My accountant's here. I tell her, hey, this is what we have going. I'm out because I'm too nice. I'll do everything for free. So I have an accountant that makes sure that we get paid. And I'm not emotionally tied to it. But it allows me to go to work and be passionate and render a really good job, but I've taken my emotions out of it. And the worst thing you can do is try to demand respect in a business that, listen, you do what you do, just do what you do. And the choice is yours if you want to do it or not. All that other stuff, I would recommend you not get involved in it. So I thank you for helping me with that question. That was a really good answer. But he's an experienced businessman.
Oh, that was an excellent answer. That's excellent.
Very excellent answer.
That's not what I want to use. I want to know how can you get to a point where if you've got a price, and that's your price, and it's a fair price, how do you enter into a transaction with an individual without getting into negotiating?
You'd be unapologetic. You'd be unapologetic. See, I know my value.
Right.
So when I move in my value. So I know that I'm willing to go 8% up or down, whatever that variation may be. But that's pretty much it. Anything less than that, to me, is I'm not your business. You need to find someone that does, because you want to attract business. You don't want to chase it. See, when you're looking for someone to hire you, they'll know that you need the job. They'll know that you really want to cultivate this relationship. And then they'll start to devalue you because they see your thirst. So you have to be unapologetically knowing who you are, not being in the I'm trying to prove myself mode. Because the longer you stay in that I'm trying to prove myself mode, the more negotiation that you're going to have to do. And negotiate, typically you're going to be undervalued substantially because it's an emotional conversation. That's why I tell people, know your worth, write it down, and be intentional.
So I'm getting back out there. I have a statement that works for me is, like you said, having a system in place, having black and white and writing. I also have an assistant that works for me, so I don't even have to deal with anything. What's in there is what you get, like, there's no negotiation. Therefore, don't even have to file that from me. Well, can you give me this discount?
Right.
It's right there already, what you want to get, and stick with it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I
Yes.
think it comes with being able to explain your value to your client, to your customer.
You know, they know my
Mhm.
value because they
Yeah.
try hard not to go anywhere else. And I
Right.
have to say, and I have to not answer the phone call.
Right. So after you, like if you're quoting someone, after you give your value and you say, okay, well, this is what you're going to be getting. I'm going to be able to do this. You know, you
Right.
craft that to where it's attractive. You craft it to where you're not coming off quote unquote thirsty, but you're saying, okay, I'm confident, this is my value, and this is my number. And you tell them that number, but when you say it, I know that's what I went through when I first started my business. Like, I was afraid to say what my bottom number was because it was like, ooh, am I really going to charge that? But yeah, I am because this is my value. This is and after you say that number, it's the pause because you're not going to say any more. You're going to leave it right there. You're giving it to them, and whether that's in writing or it's just doing, you know, when you first have that interaction with your client, this is my number. And then you let them say, okay. And most of the time, if you know, propose your value, propose your price, you know, they're like, okay, well, yeah, I like that, blah, blah. But for me, if I was to say, well, this is my price, but you know, I'll throw in, I ain't throwing in nothing, there's no discounts, it's nothing, this is my price right here. And so then they can take that and think about it, you can follow up, but that's my price because I'm giving you this value.
Right,
So
right.
I am like giving them that I'm confident in the services I'm going to provide, and on the flip, this is the price.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think everyone's saying the same thing.
So I'm gonna interject one more thing. In the sales world, because we're all salespeople at some level, even though we're business owners or marketers, whatever. The strongest sales closing strategy in the history of the sales world is something that's called the takeaway. And the takeaway is being comfortable in your dialogue with the customer, explaining to them that you may not be the right person for them. And in doing that, not to present it in a way where it sounds arrogant, but to present that you're confident in your abilities. And you may say to them, listen, for the level of service that I offer, this is what it costs. Now, ma'am, I might not be the right fit for you because there may be someone that can do what you're asking for a lower number, but I don't have different levels of my service performance. I only do it at a level of excellence.
Right.
So if you want it performed at the level of excellence which I perform, this is my number. But I totally understand if I'm not the right person for you because I don't know how to do it at a medium or lower level. I only do it at excellence. So I might not be the right fit for you. My company may not be what you need because everyone does not require that same level of excellence. And what ends up happening is then they start trying to convince you, oh no, I am your customer. Oh no, I don't want any less than excellence. Oh no, I don't want you to be concerned. No, you're mixing this up. I am your customer. So now they're trying to convince you to take them on as a customer. But what we've done is say, listen, I surely appreciate your interest, and I want you to know I just may not be the right company. And I'm gonna explain why, because you know, everybody is not looking for the same level of excellence. Everybody is not willing to invest this amount in this service because maybe they don't require the same level of excellence. So then in the back of their mind, they feel like you're saying they can't afford you. They don't care enough to have the best service.
Let me get
and then
closer so they
change.
can hear you. No, I'm getting closer so they can hear you.
So the takeaway when you're dealing with someone that seems to have a problem with cost, pricing, or things of that nature, you right away, instead of trying to convince them, to use you, you flip the script and say, I may not be the right business for you. I just need you to know that my clients that I help on a regular basis, they are really focused on me performing at a certain level of excellence. So the pricing I'm giving you is based on that level of service. And that may not be what you require. That may not be what works or you have a need for. And I understand that. But I don't know how to do it any other way. So it has to be this level to do it at all. It's called the takeaway. It's called
Right.
the takeaway, where you're pulling it back and you're saying, I may not be for you. I may not be in your budget. I may not be the level of service you need. You may not be the right customer for you. And when you say that, then they get to the point of their level of confidence and their level of pride getting involved. Say, oh, no, no, no. I'm just talking. I said, well, ma'am, you were just giving me that impression. You're uncomfortable with cost, which means that you're uncomfortable with the level of excellence that I give. So I was thinking maybe you weren't. Maybe you confused me. No, no, no. I'm that person. I can tell you, I have no problem with investing in.
Right.
And they're trying now. Now they're trying to convince you to take them because you're backing off of them.
Right.
Like, no, you may not be. I might be able to refer you to someone else.
But that's good advice. Thank you. What it sounds like is there's fear of losing the deal. But if you, like you want the deal, but you want to be valued at what your value is. So I think there's an exchange that you want to occur, but the psychology behind it is they need you more than you need them. And that's why you're at this negotiating point. So by not being afraid, you'll get the deal. It may not be in that particular moment, but if you are as good as you know that you are, and they know that you're as good as you know you are, then you'll get the business. You won't. But at some point, you have to know when to say no. And don't. Once there's a price point, and I had that happen before, where someone say, "Hey, we had a gig up in North Carolina, and it was like, do this, man, because once you get in, you good." I was like, well, that's not my practice because I don't have anything to prove. I do what I do. So I took his advice and I went in and did it his way. That price was so low that I ended up paying for it. But the caveat is, the following year, they called me back and wanted it much lower than the first time. So I was teaching them how to treat me. So you have to be careful because you can train them on how to treat you and how to value you. So when you begin to fall into that plunge, you're not coming out. It's a rabbit hole. You're not coming out. So thank you for advice, because obviously, how many years you been in business?
So I've been in the floor covering business 31 years.
31 years. There you have it.
My local business here in Rockdale County, I've had 7 years. But before then, I had another flooring store and other businesses in Louisiana. So I've learned from a lot of the mistakes, making those wrong decisions. But the hardest part in the world is to back off of a deal that in your mind you really want. You already have figured out how you're going to spend that profit.
Right.
Right? But if you create the atmosphere where people respect your value from you telling them, no, I won't do it for that price. No, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I may not be the right fit for you. Then they start to believe that you're the elite. Then they start to look at you as though you are the true standard.
Right.
And the others that are falling below you is because there's something substandard about the others.
Right.
And I've gotten to that point in business, and sometimes it hurts because you really want the business, right?
Right.
You're emotional inside, but in the back of your mind, as soon as you let them water down your value, not only do they look at you as less value, then they tell other people. Because if you push them back and say, no, I may not be the right person for you, now, if they buy detailed project, and you're the person that have. I said, oh really? Well, who was that? And then they bring up someone's name that didn't do business with you. But that person told them, listen, if you want it done right, you need to call this guy because I went with someone that was less expensive and I'm still regretting it. Now, I had no way of knowing she was still regretting it. But she told her colleague, call me, because my price wouldn't move and I was serious about what I was doing. So I ended up getting a bigger sale later from her reference, doing it that way, if that makes sense.
So there you go. You have a ton, 30-something, me, another 20 years. I don't know how many years you've been in business, but that's some pretty good information. So, and you're in the credit repair business as well? Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a booming business. It's going to be a booming business. So thanks for the information, you guys. Feel free to order something. It's on me. Help yourself. So hopefully, the moral of the story of what we were trying to do, what I'm trying to do, is let you know that it's possible for you to do whatever it is that you want to do. But the other side of it is that there's a platform, there's a formula, and there's systems that are in place for you to follow. You don't have to worry about being pulled into this negotiating thing. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from that and have somebody do that on your behalf so that you're not getting all caught up into how you price and what your value is. And it's being an entrepreneur, a simple career choice. It's not. It's very beneficial, but it has its drawbacks. It's probably going to have a lot more drawbacks than benefits, depending, especially if you're just getting started. But it's a journey, and the freedom of it that you get, the ability to make your schedule, the ability to make those choices, those things are the caveat, but it comes at a cost. Most entrepreneurs don't sleep a regular schedule. They don't live a off like everybody else. So whenever you leave your day job, don't expect being an entrepreneur that you're going to work less. When I stopped working on my day job, I went from 8 hours to 16, 18-hour days, and not being as profitable, as I was on my day job, especially in the beginning. So it's not all peaches and cream, but the benefits is being able to make those decisions, whether or not you do business with someone, knowing your value. And the truth of the matter is anyone with a 9-to-5 can take exactly what they do for their 9-to-5 and they can do it in their own business. Because all the job is doing is paying to do the work, and then they're upcharging for your labor. They're not there. You're the expert, right? You're the one coming to work, but they're just upcharging and they're selling you. So if you took that with some discipline and followed these systems and got mentored as what's going on here, you can really, really be a successful business. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that there's a formula in place for everything that's out there that you desire to do. So that's what I'm hoping that you leave inspired, understanding that it's not going to always look like peaches and cream, but it is a wonderful journey to embark on. But you can't make it make sense. You can't make business sense, and I'll leave you on this note. Business sense and common sense are not the same thing. People try to make business common sense. There's business sense, and then there's common sense. You have to know the difference. Common sense will say, just do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Business sense will say no. You have to know what business sense is. And it has its own formula. The way you do banking is common sense for your personal account. The way you do banking for your business, it's not common sense. It's business sense. So in the journey of entrepreneurship, once you set the platform up, I would recommend that you do it right from the beginning. Get coaching, attend things. The fact that you're here is showing me that you're on the right pathway. You're probably picking up some things or getting access and networking, meeting people that are already doing this. You're on the right track. But you got to invest in yourself. And what I realize as I go around and I mentor and I coach other business owners, one of the things I'm realizing is that people do not invest into themselves. They do not. And they're frustrated. They're frustrated on the growth because they invest in their business, invest in their personal gain, the wealth, the knowledge, the mentorship, the coaching. Those things are so important, you know, to have a guy with 31 years, and I've been in this business for 20 years, and other people around you that can help cultivate you. You have to invest in those things and find the value in investing in yourself. Don't think that you're just going to open up and then people are going to be crowding your door or paying you your worth. You know, so just keep that in mind. You know, when I started, I was afraid to charge more than $1,000. I was afraid. And then when I realized my worth, I had to reset and change my demographic because these people couldn't get out of that small payment mode. When I changed my value, even I just moved here maybe 3 years ago from Miami, Florida. The Atlanta area met a whole entire different person than what Florida knew. So it was a hard reset, but the moral of the story is the value I do not have to negotiate anymore. People know whatever it is worth. They know the value of it. They have an idea. They just want to see how much you're going to come off of it. So stay true to your value. Stay true to yourself and take the risk. Be calculated in your risk and understand that it doesn't happen for sure if you don't do it. Like baseball, if you don't swing, you never hit. I guarantee you that. So give it a shot. Be strategic about it. Make it make sense. And know that your audience may not always be your immediate circle. So go and meet people that you've never met, and then they'll help you get in places you've never been and introduce you to the true person that you are. So on that note, I'll take any final questions, but thank you guys so much for coming out. And feel free to order something. Thank you guys online for listening. Hopefully this conversation has been inspirational. Thanks to Legendary Soul Food Restaurant. Hey, we're going to be broadcasting live 7 o'clock on Saturdays. And it's going to be a great experience. This is something new that we're trying. I'm going to be doing this each and every Tuesday, 7 o'clock, just giving you nuggets and inspiring you and loving on you and things of that nature. And don't forget to tune in to Dr. Marcia, who's going to be on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And also On the Ground with Danielle Brown, our social justice expert. She's going to be here Wednesday, 8 o'clock. And then followed by Dat Cat Dave from DC. In with some old school R&B, neo soul, and everything in between. So make sure you're following Legendary Soul Food Restaurant. We're going to have a mixer here on Mondays, every Mondays, starting August 7th. It is something new that they're doing here in Conyers, and it's amazing. I'm going to put it on the website so you can know. Make sure you come and patronize. You think this is something, we're going to have a whole lot of people here from different walks of life, from judges, sheriffs, and all different types of business people will be here starting August 7th, right here in the building, Legendary Soul Food. Make sure you come, and it's absolutely free. And they're going to feed you as well, so make sure you show up here August 7th, okay? So until the next time, know that Rich Live love you, and there's nothing you could do about it. 7 o'clock tonight. You got it. Thank you.